Hey guys, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget and the ATM. This is the training Q&A webinar. It is October 1st at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And today we're going to talk briefly about a ring partner site that I'd set up. I've built several of them now. I'm just going to share one of them though that I'll talk about. It's actually the first one that I built, and talk a little bit about the process of getting approved for ring partner, because I just went through that earlier this week. Actually, I started building the sites before I'd even been approved, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have, because after I got approved, I realized there was some keywords that I had built into the site, into the first couple sites that I built, that are restricted. They're not allowed because they mentioned brand names like Kohler or Jacuzzi or whatever. I was doing the walk-in tubs. So the first site I'll probably end up bombing and rebuilding after I clean up the custom list a little bit for the keywords. But I'm going to walk through some of that today. I also know that there's some questions from Michael Dawes that were on the Facebook page. Guys, I want to make this clear now that I am not a Facebook person. I don't spend much time in Facebook. I actually don't enjoy being in Facebook much at all. So if you have questions, please post them on this Google Plus event page where I host these webinars, because that's how they will get answered. If they get posted in the Facebook group, chances are they will get missed. I happened to see Michael's today, so I do want to give it the attention that it deserves. And if I do miss a question in Facebook, it's not intentional. It's just because I am not a Facebook person. I prefer to be in Google Plus, and these events pages are set up such that you can post your questions directly on the events page so that I see them during the webinar. Okay, and that's also for other people's benefit. When they come to watch the replay, they can also see the questions there. Okay, try to keep everything in one location. That said, let me jump into these here. Michael Dawes says, I'm creating a local site build focused on municipalities within a metro area. With regard to domain, I'm thinking my domain will be cityxyz.com, and I will build my sites on subdomains MUNI, which would be municipality.cityxyz.com. Now there may be up to 20 to 30 municipal subdomains. Is that okay? Michael, in my opinion, yes. I think further in your question, you say that there's conflicting information out there. There is, but in my opinion, there's no reason why you can't do that. I'll clarify that in a moment. Let me finish your question. Is that okay? I'll use the root domain for squeeze pages, etc. Does this domain structure make sense? Is there too many subdomains? I hear conflicting comments on subdomains, but your reasons, Bradley, make sense to me given the long-term assets I'm building in metro areas. Each municipal site will have different content, hence a site for each. If I was to build a metro-wide site, I'd need to break it down into municipal categories with different content, or have an overlay for each municipality that redirects to the municipal content site. Is that possible? I don't see, again, that's especially with the Lead Gadget or the sites that the ATM builds. I would do it the way that you're describing, Michael, which is to build out separate sites targeting each municipality on a separate subdomain. And here's why: because it would be too difficult I don't even think it's possible to build that sort of a structure inside of the ATM, at least at the moment, where you would have different content for different municipalities, that sort of thing. It's really not, it's not designed for that in its current state anyways. Okay, so I would be targeting each site build using one piece of content, obviously, for each site build. And if you want different content for each, that's fine, and I would encourage that. But what I'm saying is, I would target each municipality that would have a unique piece of content for that particular site build, and then on a subdomain. Then I would build out another subdomain for the next municipality with a new piece of content that was targeted around that specific area. And that's how I would do it, exactly how you're describing, because that gives you more control. In fact, what we're going to talk about today with the ring partners sites is I'm building them on a state-by-state basis instead of doing it nationally. And I'm going to explain why when I demo that site out for you guys. Okay. I suspect it's going to be more effective. It's going to bring in long tail traffic instead of just targeting the top, the top keywords. I've done a lot of testing with the ATM. I always do. And I find the best success with long tail terms because they rank with, they rank really well. And although you can target the broader terms, the problem is without doing some additional work, a lot of those broader terms, except for in the least competitive of areas, don't rank that well. And so you do a lot of build, and there's a lot of posts that don't rank very well, that don't generate traffic. And in the lesser competitive areas, they might generate traffic. But if you target long tail stuff, even in the competitive areas, a lot of the times they'll rank, because although there's not a steady stream of search queries that target some of the longer tail phrases, there are still search queries for those. So my point is, cumulatively, the trickle of traffic that can be generated from all of the long tail phrases that you can add to a site build will sometimes add up to and even exceed the traffic that comes from the broader keywords. Okay. And I've had a lot of success that way. And so that's why you'll see when I show you my build out today for one of the Ring Partner sites, the first one that I did, in fact, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, exactly what I'm saying here is I would go after each municipality with subdomains. Again, there's other people that are going to tell you don't use that many subdomains. Look, just test it then. I'm telling you, I'd do it that way. If somebody else tells you they're going to do it, they wouldn't do that, and they want to do it another way, then test both ways. Build out the way that you're describing here, which I agree with, at least to the point and the question that I'm at. And if, and build out a second site or a second set of sites based on advice you might get somewhere else, and see which ones perform better. That's really the only way to really truly know anyways, right? All right, another approach might be to place a list of municipalities on the page with links to specific municipal sites. What are your suggestions? On which page, though? You know what I mean? I mean, you'd still be building out separate sites, right, for each one of those areas. So another approach might be to place a list on the page Which page? The home page of the root domain, or on the root domain? Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I would probably have the municipalities all on subdomains, and then have the root domain as kind of like the master site, where it would just be a regular WordPress install, not an ATM type install, where I would, go in and add posts and pages manually one by one, so that I could add landing pages and so on and so forth. It would be, in other words, like the domain index page, right? So in that case, yeah, I mean, if you want to make it like a big directory, then I would absolutely link out to each of the subdomains from there. Okay. The important thing is to rank hot button headlines and meta descriptions and dominate the searches. Once I've interrupted them, I need to make it easy for them to go to their local info site. Okay, that makes sense. I'll be wanting to rank for, say, 20 keyword phrases. Google searches would be typically focused on municipality or neighborhood plus keyword. A page post headline might be, for example, keyword phrase in neighborhood, or keyword phrase in municipality, or keyword phrase in zip code, but not much traffic on zips. That's correct. What would your custom list and tag design look like to make this happen? Well, it would be, your keyword phrase would be, keywords would be one custom list. The next one would be a list of your neighborhoods, or municipalities in this case, or zip codes. Just remember, let me show this out. Let me open up a new Excel file. So let's say you got keyword 1. And then we'll make this, let's say we got 25 keywords, okay? And you're going to have, location 1. This could be municipality or neighborhood 1, or whatever you want to call it. We're just going to call it location 1. All right, let's say you've got 25 keywords in 25 locations. Then essentially what you're going to end up with is, you're going to want all 25 keywords to be targeted to location 1, and then all 25 keywords targeted to location 2, right? So you're essentially, what you would end up with is 25 times 25, which is 625 posts, right? Because each one of the locations would target each of the 25 keywords. So you'd end up with 625 posts. So something that I'm using as a tool for this is, it's called Text Mechanic. If we come over here, textmechanic.com, and you scroll down, and you'll see that there is a line combination generator. If you click on that, then what you can do is, in here, let me open up a text file. I'm going to create a tab. I'm just going to click tab. So I've got a tab right here that I can copy, just a blank tab. paste that in as my delimiter. And then I'm going to go to my Excel file. I'm going to copy the first 25 or the 25 keywords, I mean. Paste that in, and then we're going to add the 25 locations, and I'm going to show you the resulting output. I'm going to say generate combinations, and now I'm going to Control A and Control X that, copy that, cut it, whatever, and then I'm going to come over here and let's just paste it in here. So what you end up with is now you have, see this, keyword 1 repeats next to location all the way to location 25, and then it beginnings keyword 2 through location 25, then keyword 3 through location 25 all the way down, and you'll end up with, in this case, 625 keywords, or 625. So that's how you'd build your custom lists. So in other words, when you're asking how would you build out the custom list, that's how you would do it. You would let's say you've got 30 keywords that you're trying to target, and you've got 15 areas. Well, then it would be 30 times 15, which would be 450. But you'd have to build out your lists like this so that they correspond with each other. And the same thing would be with the county, so or the municipality, you know, the or zip codes or whatever else it is that you're going to use as your custom list. So just keep that in mind. Now, for tags, you just want to do what I've been taught to do, which is to use, you know, 8 or 10 or 12 tags, whatever you decide to do, and then just put one of your short codes, usually for the location, as a modifier for each tag. Okay, so that way that you're getting unique tags. You want to have 8, 10, or 12, whatever it is. I'm building really, really large sites right now. Again, I'm going to demo one of them for you guys in a minute, but I'm using just 2 tags because the sites are so damn big. I'm targeting all the keywords via posts instead of tags, and I'll explain that in a minute. But just build out the tags like you normally would. That's not going to change. All right, but just make sure that you're building out your custom list this way. That's what I've been playing with a lot recently, is building sites that target multiple keywords instead of just one keyword, which I had always done before. Okay, and that's where I'm being able to build these sites that cover just about every freaking keyword that's listed in the that generate traffic, and targeting every city with every keyword in a particular build. And I've run into some problems with that because some of the site builds are too big and they time out. But I'm working on whittling that down, narrowing it down to just the top level terms so that I can still get the sites built. But that's why I'm doing it on a state basis instead of a national basis, because the national basis, there's no way that the sites would be too big. So let's keep moving. Let's finish up this question. But first, right now, I'd like to test the local municipal areas over the state or even country to determine which municipalities I can more easily rank for. When I see that's easy, I'll build 10 local sites to dominate that local market. Does that make sense? How would your custom list structure look like this when you for this large test site? For the large test site, unfortunately, you're going to have to just test with one keyword, maybe 2. So, for example, if you're going after the 30,000 cities list, which is the national site build list, right? It's about 30,000 cities. Then you could probably get away with targeting maybe 2 or 3 keywords max, as long as you're cutting your tags down. Now, I haven't gotten the approval from Dawn to tell you guys this, so I don't want to tell you something that is going to get me into trouble or to get you guys in trouble, okay? But what I'm saying is let's say that you targeted 30,000 posts and you targeted 2 keywords for your builds, then that would give you 60,000 posts, okay? I would reduce your number of tags because your build is bigger anyways, all right? So just keep that in mind. But that's what I would do. Unfortunately, with national site builds, because of the size of the build, it's very difficult to target more than just one keyword, unless you're targeting the keywords as tag pages, which you can do. I don't think that's as effective as creating actual posts for each keyword. But you know, that's a way to get more rankings for other keywords other than just the post keywords, which is normally your main focus keyword, right? Is by adding in the long tails or the variations of keywords as tags. That's the other way. So what I would recommend is if you're going to be testing on a national site, on a national build, to help you identify the areas that are going to be easier to rank for, and then go in and build out your local site structures the way that you're talking about on subdomains, which again, I think that's a great strategy, not just in building the sites that way, but in using a national site build to identify the low-hanging fruit, right? And then go target those, because those are going to be much easier, less work. They'll generate traffic and revenue quicker. So that's a good strategy to use a national site build to do it. However, I would just plan on, you said about 20 keywords up here. Well, then build 20 national sites. Target one keyword per national site, build out 20 of them. You could do it on subdomains if you wanted, so you didn't have to buy up 20 domains, whatever. Okay, build out 20 sites, national sites, one keyword per site, basically. Track them, identify your low-hanging fruit, your easy areas to rank for, and then go out and build out your structure that you just described in this post there. Okay, that's what I would do. All right, so hopefully that answers that question. Let's see if there's any other. Yeah, Michael, if you're watching this right now, yes, you post to the events page just like you did right here with your question. That's the best place for it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not that I don't want to answer questions that are on Facebook. It's just I often am not in Facebook. I just really not a big Facebook person, but I do host the webinars on the Google Plus page. Therefore, if you post your questions here, they will absolutely get seen and answered. Okay. So that said, Michael, good strategy. I would just recommend building out 20 sites, one keyword per site on a national basis, identify your low-hanging fruit, and then go attack those areas with your site structure here that you're describing, which I think would work really, really well, because then you can get crazy with your keywords. Just like I said here, okay? Because like I said, now you're taking a site that has 25 keywords and 25 locations, and you turn it into 625 posts. So now let's talk about this. This is this first site that I did for bathe walk-in bathtubs for Ring Partner. And I did get approved. We'll talk about Ring Partner in a minute. I got approved and everything. It wasn't that difficult, but I'll tell you some stuff in a moment about that. So with this site, I ended up targeting, let me see if I've got, yeah, I do, but I probably don't have it open. Let me get logged into this site real quick. Let me pause the screen for a minute and we'll log in, and you know what? I better not. Never mind, because I don't want to encourage you guys to do something yet that could get me into trouble with Dawn. Let's just say that I'm targeting over 100 keywords with this site, and then every single city within the state of Tennessee. So this is a rather large site, much bigger than the national site builds are, even though it's only covering just the state of Tennessee, which the state of Tennessee is a small state. Okay, but this site is quite a bit larger than a national size site as far as the number of posts. Now, if you take a look, the way that I was able to do that was, and in fact, this is one that I was talking about with Ring Partner. You're not supposed to target other brand names in any of the keywords. So this site is pretty much just going to be used for demonstration purposes. I'm probably not going to connect Ring Partner landing page to this one, only because it's really violating the terms of service. I'm just going to rebuild another one on another domain, I guess, that has the brand terms stripped out of the build, so that I'm not violating any terms of service, because I don't want to lose my account there. Okay. But this was the first one I did anyways. So what I did was I took a list of keywords that I had for walk-in tubs that I had generated, and it came out to be actually over 200 keywords. And I was able to create a custom list, just like I showed you guys just a moment ago with this one. I added all my keywords into one column. Then I added all the cities and, the state cities and the state abbreviation, and then the counties and all that, built out my list that way. And then I went over to Text Mechanic and I created my list, and it came out to be like 120,000 posts. And what I did was I reduced my tags out. So like now we're looking at the actual post right here. You can see it in the URL. If we scroll down, you'll see that there's only two. What happened to the tags? How come I'm not seeing the tags? Let me try that again. I don't know. The first time it didn't load, the tags were, excuse me. Now you can see that there's only 2 tags. So while under normal circumstances, we build the sites targeting pretty much one main keyword per site build. And then we sprinkle in keywords, other keywords throughout the content, the article or the post content. But then the way we've been doing it, or the way that I've been doing it, at least, was to target additional keywords in the tags. But the tag pages, some of them rank well, but they haven't ranked to me as well as the actual posts do, at least a lot of the testing that I've done. So I wanted to continue testing out different site build configurations, because I'm always playing with this stuff, guys. I kind of find it fun to do. And I found that you can build bigger sites. I'm not going to tell you to go out and build a 120,000 post site. I'm not telling you that. So if anybody goes out and says, well, Brad told me to do it, you're lying, because that's not what I said to do. I'm telling you, I'm testing some stuff. And this one happened to be rather large. I'm not making them this big now because there's some issues with the big sites that they're hard on the server. They're like, I'm using an Amazon EC2 instance, and it's even difficult on that for that. So there's just some problems with it. So I'm whittling it down to just the basic. And some states are too big where you couldn't do that. Like, you'd have over 200,000 posts or 300,000 posts, and the sites won't build. They'll time out before that happens, or Don will catch them and reset them anyways. So I'm trying to whittle down the keyword list to get it just to the keywords that which I'm hoping some sites like this, I can identify which keywords are actually producing traffic and clicks, and then I can eliminate the ones that aren't producing very well or aren't producing at all. So kind of like what Michael Dawes was asking about just a moment ago, and using sites like these to be able to it's research. It's research and development, right? R&D. And that's what this one is. I can use this one now strictly for research purposes, because I'm probably not going to turn this into a Ring Partner site. I'll just rebuild another one using just the list of keywords that I found that are actually generating traffic and clicks, and also eliminating anything that's violating Ring Partner's terms of service, right? So just to show you guys, like I said, this one has about 120,000 posts on it. I'm not recommending you guys build sites like this. I'm going to narrow the keyword list down to where if I rebuild this again, I might have 60,000 posts on it. Does that make sense? So that would be about twice as big as a normal national build, but my tags are going to be a lot less. Okay. But what I'm doing is I'm targeting it. Let's say I get it down to, a good 60 or 70 keywords that are generating traffic and clicks, that I'm, performing well. Then I can build out the site, and let's say it's got 550 locations, cities throughout the entire state. And let's say I had 60 keywords. So it would be 60 times 550. That would only be a 33,000 post site build. Does that make sense? So if we were to double that, if we were to have 120 keywords times 550 cities, we're looking at 66,000 posts. But now you're targeting 120 keywords, and you're targeting all 550 cities in the entire state. So basically you're capturing long tail traffic from everywhere. So that's the theory anyways. It's still in progress. I just built this site just a few days ago. I just checked indexing for tonight for this particular site, and you can see that there at the moment there's only 399 results indexed. So it's not stellar, nothing stellar yet, but I'm going to let it sit for a couple of days. I've built some other ones too since then, and targeting some other states. And I'm curious just to see how those are performing. As I'm building out larger states, the site size keeps getting bigger, which is a no-no. So I'm keep diminishing that keyword list as much as possible. All right. And so that's eventually I'll get to a point where I'll have a really good set of keywords that I can duplicate very quickly and scale. And I'm still going to build out individual statewide sites, but I can do it very quickly and just bang out a whole bunch of them. And I'm going to duplicate this process across walk-in tubs, and also, window cover or window treatments, and there's siding repair and everything else. Inside of Ring Central, or Ring Partner, there's a lot more than just what's shown in the ATM. So like if we come over here and click on the ATM landing pages, There's these ones that are listed in here, but there's even more stuff that you can do inside of Ring Partner than just this. So these aren't the only ones that are available. So once you get approved for Ring Partner, if you haven't already, you'll see that there's a lot of stuff you can promote. All right, so that was it. If there's any questions on that, I certainly take any. Thanks for that. Gives me comments. I posted earlier, but it seems to eliminate it when you went live. Michael, I use Google Hangouts for all of my webinars that we, and I do several webinars per week. And I've never heard of that happening before. Maybe you posted on a previous events page. I just created this events page this morning. So maybe you posted on last week's events page. Just pay attention to the date in the title usually, and also over here. And you'll make sure that it's the right events page. Plus, inside the Facebook group, you'll see the link. Whenever I create the event inside of Facebook, that right here, this location pin is always the link that will take you over to the event page for the event page for that specific event. You see that? So just keep that in mind. Inside Facebook, when I generate the event inside Facebook, I put in as the location, I put the link for the actual Google Events page. So just click on that, and that'll take you directly over to the right events page, and where you can actually post your questions. Okay, that goes for all of you. Doesn't look like anybody's here again tonight. I don't know why these webinars are so empty. That's all right. So guys, I will give you some more details as I have them about this particular way of building sites. Again, it's still new and I'm still testing, so I don't know how well this is going to work. My assumptions is this should work better than targeting just one keyword per site build, because I can basically, if I was targeting 120 keywords with this site, which in fact I think I'm targeting more for this particular build, I would have had to build 120 single sites in order to accomplish the same thing that I did with this one site build, if that makes sense. So in an effort of saving time, yeah, I'm spending a lot of time testing with these things, guys, and testing configurations. And I talked to Brian about this the other day, actually. And I told him a lot of the tests that I've done have really been unsuccessful or no more successful than the way that Brian teaches to build. And that's fine. So what I'm trying to tell you is keep building the way Brian tells you to build for now. I'm going to keep testing though, because I find it fun to test. And that's part of what my job description is here as part of the ATM team, is to do this kind of stuff. And when I do find some stuff that works particularly well, then I share that with you guys. So I'm kind of like in the lab testing all the time. And so that's what, I suspect these are going to do quite well. I don't know without giving it some time. So we'll talk about that next week some more. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is Ring Partner. With Ring Partner, guys, you got to be, I know that there's some guidelines in here. I'll be honest with you. When I've been running, a lead gen business for many years now. But I deal with individual businesses where I, work out agreements with them as to how the leads are going to be generated, and what the cost per call is or cost per lead that they pay me and that sort of thing. I do all that on my own. I've never worked with an actual company like Ring Partner before. So with that, when I saw this, when you click on this and it talks, this kind of stuff, I thought it was going to be maybe kind of a bitch to get approved, and it wasn't at all. All I did was I went and applied just like it shows here, sign up for Ring Partner. There's a guy named Henry that'll call you. You have to leave a phone number, and then he's going to call you because he's going to want to phone interview you. When he called me, all I did was he said, "Hey, I'd like to find a little bit about you before I approve you. What kind of work are you doing? Why do you think Ring Partner would be a good fit for you?" And all I said was, I run an SEO agency. I've been doing local lead gen for clients for over 5 years. I generate leads with SEO. Mainly SEO. I rank sites in Google and local sites and Google Maps as well. And he said, "Oh, great. So you know lead gen." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I worked out deals with the clients, the business owners on individual basis. In other words, we develop agreements for each client. They're usually unique to their specific situation or circumstances. However, I'm very familiar with the process. I've never worked with a company like yours before, but I think it would be a good fit." And he said, "Well, you sound like a great fit. We're going to go ahead and approve you." And that was it. It was done. So it took about an hour later, I got the confirmation email stating that I had been approved. And then from there, if we want to, we can go into the dashboard real quick. I just wondered if I'd already had it open. And let's see. Okay. So from here, I can show you guys what campaigns they have available. So this is all of them. For those of you that have not signed up yet for a ring partner, I just told you how to get approved. Just when the guy calls you, his name's Henry. I think it's just the 3 of them that are part of like the intake or onboarding team or whatever you want to call it. And Henry is the guy that will probably call you, because I think that's his main job, is to just interview and approve people. And he was real easy to talk to. So just talk with confidence. Even if you're full of shit and you've never done it before in your life, just say, yeah, I generate leads with SEO. I've been doing it for 6 months, and I've built several sites that generate leads. I deal with the business owners on my own, but I'd like to get into something that's a little bit more easier to scale. That's all you got to say. And he'll say, oh, this is a good fit. And then once you get the approval email, then you have to go through adding in your business details. By the way, one of the things that they're going to ask you for in adding your business details, like it's kind of like a biography, like a bio of you and or your company, but don't let that scare you. It's very, very short form. You just fill in your name, your company name, your contact information, and then it's going to ask you for example website URLs. I didn't even put one in, guys, and I'm just letting you know that because I hesitated for a minute. I thought about it. Well, should I show them some of my lead gen sites that I do for local businesses? But I didn't want to do that because I didn't get permission from my clients to do that sort of thing. So I said, you know what? I'm going to leave that empty. It also asks for some social media profile URLs if you have any. And I definitely have those. So I just put in my Twitter, my LinkedIn, my Google Plus, and those are it, because I really don't use Facebook much. And I submitted it, and I think it was about maybe 2 hours later, I got approved for that campaign that I had applied for. And the campaign was for the walk-in tubs promotion. Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of pointers on that. Don't let it scare you. It's really simple to do, and you don't have to put in website, at least not for the walk-in tubs. I don't know about the other ones, but I didn't have to just show any example websites. Okay. That's it. Last thing is, like I said, guys, look at all the stuff here that you can promote. I mean, that's huge. There's a lot of stuff, and this is 84 results, guys. There's 84 different things here that you can use, that you can set up, which is really cool. I mean, paving contractors, guys, pool services, TV repair. Those are the lower paying ones. The higher paying ones are up here. You got tax relief in Spanish. Any of you guys that know how to speak Spanish or are bilingual, you guys think about that. I mean, it's $50 per qualified call, but if you're trying to rank sites in Spanish, even for the US market, your competition levels are a lot lower. So I do not speak Spanish. If I did, or it might even be worth having a couple articles written and then having them translated and then building out some sites that way. Having them translated and spun, you'd have to find a Spanish-speaking article spinner that could spin it for you so that it would make sense. I don't think you can use something like Spin Rewriter for that. But that would be worth targeting. I might even play with that a little bit because, $50 per qualified call, and your competition levels are typically a lot lower for the Spanish-speaking market. So, in fact, there's a plugin, guys, that I might show this in the next week or two. I'm going to have to test it first, but there's a plugin that will actually, I don't know if it would work for these sites, though, because it would be too hard on the server, I'm sure. There's a plugin that you can use that can actually translate pages. It's not perfect, but it does a fairly good job. And I'll have to play with it on some site builds. The problem is it's real server heavy. It's a resource hog, and I don't know that it would work on these. It would probably crash the server. So I'd have to test that before I can share that with you guys. But otherwise, you could just build the site out with Spanish content. All right. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions. Michael says, on Hump Day Hangout yesterday, you talked about density of keyword and content. Does this rule apply to ATM sites? No, Michael. Don't worry about it. No, I don't worry about it for these sites, Michael. These are different types of sites. These are completely different kinds of animals, Michael. Please don't get confused with what I talk about and semantic mastery, which is traditional SEO stuff, as far as like building normal size sites. That's what I mean by traditional. These ATM sites, guys, are a different breed of animal. They're large directory sites. They bend most of the rules. Just their very nature is different, so we treat them differently, and that's why I don't really talk a whole lot about. I try to delineate between the two and keep them separate. I don't want there to be any conflict of interest. Number one. Number two, the stuff that works for the ATM sites is definitely not advisable for traditional SEO, and the stuff that works for traditional SEO doesn't necessarily need to apply. It's stuff that you can add to your arsenal for ATM sites to help you boost sites. But here's the difference in mindset, the difference in approach. That with the ATM sites, instead of spending your time tweaking the sites, getting keyword density right, working on conversion optimization. If you were going to do any kind of optimization on the ATM sites, I would recommend conversion optimization so that you get people to convert better. But if you're doing a WP overlayer and you're designing a landing page, then all you need to do is focus on making that landing page convert better. It has nothing to do with the actual ATM sites, right? But the SEO tactics that you can learn, like backlink building and silo structures and internal linking and all that, that's stuff that you can do to help your sites. But the idea is, why bother? Why go through? And this is what Don says all the time, and I totally agree when it comes to these ATM sites. If you're going to be, instead of spending your time fiddling with a particular site to try to get it to perform better, just build more sites. Maybe on the next build, try to incorporate some fixes or some edits or some revisions, some improvements. Let's put it that way. Maybe on the next build of the same type of site, you try to incorporate some improvements that you found in the previous site build, that you say, oh, you know what, I could have improved on this. That's what you should strive to do, but just build more sites, because the amount of time that it takes to work to optimize a site properly under normal traditional SEO methods, you could have built several more sites, is my point. And out of those additional sites, some are going to fail and some of them are going to win, and it's all about volume. Just keep cranking them out, because then you don't have to mess with them at all. Some will generate traffic, some won't. Who cares? Just keep building. All right. So that's the whole idea, Michael. Just try to keep those two things separate. I try not to mix the two at all or commingle the two, because it doesn't make sense, and I don't want to confuse people. There is certainly a difference between ATM site builds and traditional SEO tactics. Okay. And so stick with what we talk about here, specifically these kind of sites. And obviously, in fact, one of the site builds that I'm testing right now, I'm having some issues that I'm trying to get resolved with my sites being inaccessible right now. But I'm testing actually building a little bit of a silo structure into a site build, and I'll discuss that maybe next week if I can get it to work. Right now, I'm having some issues. But anyways, any other questions, guys? I'm going to wrap it up here in about 2 minutes if I don't see anything else. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give it another minute. Okay, looks like we are probably good to go. Thanks for being here, Michael. I appreciate the questions, man. It gave me some content to talk about tonight. I'll keep you guys updated with what I find with some of these site builds the way that I'm showing you now. See if they perform well or not. Also, if I do get a silo structure actually built in, it's not really a true silo structure, but it would be at least the next best thing. And let me just explain what I mean by that. So maybe you guys, if I get it worked out, look, each one of these posts are going to be in a particular category. In this case, because it's a statewide site build, the categories are counties. Okay, you see that? So all of these listed over here are counties. Well, let's say that a county has 15 cities in it. So there'd be 15 posts in a particular county. Well, why not build a link in the content from all 15 posts in that county that links back up to the county, right? So that when the spiders come to crawl the site, they crawl the individual posts, then they find that link and crawl it back up to that county. Then that county index page, because that's all that is a category index page. So for example, this says Monroe County. You can see this is a post. But if we come over here and we click on Monroe County, you'll see that in Monroe County, we have all these posts right here. See how I'm scrolling down. These are all the posts within Monroe County. So if each one of these posts had a link that linked back up to this category index page, that creates what's called a virtual silo. It's not a physical silo, but it's called a virtual silo. In fact, there's a bit of a virtual silo, or excuse me, a physical silo structure with the way that I have my permalink set up, which is if I click on this, you'll see we're going to the post level. You can see I've got it set up as category/post name, right? Excuse me, let me click on another one. Okay, but you can see I got category, then post name. And I do that because that creates a physical silo structure to these. For those of you that aren't real familiar with all these terms, don't worry about it. Just keep building the way you're building. I'm going to show you guys once I have some successfully done. If it works, I'll show you how to do it. I'll record some extra videos outside of these webinars that will show you how to set it up, because it's not hard to do. It's just a matter of in your site build, in your content, creating an internal link using a short code. It would actually have to be a custom list code that would link back up to the category page for each one of the posts, okay, specific to each category. So I'll talk about that later. I don't want to confuse anybody. Don't let that get too advanced. We'll talk about that, and I'll provide training for it if it works, okay? Michael says, so when you have a few winners, we could do more semantic markup, say, on videos, or add tier 1 network, or forget it, just do more sites. Just do more sites, Michael. I mean, if you've got a site that is generating traffic, a lot of traffic, and you want to try to, you know, do some additional work to that, that's fine. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying, like, you know, as far as like guys, like specifically, Michael, the IFTTT networks, that's not going to help you, because unless you're going to add more content to that existing site, it's not going to help you, because the IFTTT networks are for syndicating new posts. Like every time you make a post, it syndicates out, it builds backlinks on autopilot, everything else. But these sites are already built. And unless you're going to go into the sites and continually add new posts to it, then they're not going to help you. So don't bother. If you want to do the problem with even marking up videos with like semantic markup, for example, is you'd have to go in and mark up those videos individually on every post. So if you've got a site that's got, even let's just say 500 posts on it, you'd have to go mark up each and every single post individually. Who's got time for that? Don't waste your time. Instead, just go build more sites. What I would do is just, again, if you're going to spend any time at all, if a site is performing well, then use the WP Overlayer plugin, have a good landing page, and then edit or work on optimizing that landing page. It's called conversion optimization. Test, A/B split test if you can. Run one landing page for a week, then swap it out for a different landing page that's slightly different, a different headline, different colors, whatever. See which one generated more leads, more calls, more opt-in form submissions, if that's what you're going for, whatever, and do conversion optimization. That's what I would spend my time on, not trying to SEO the sites anymore, right? Just build more sites. But then what happens is when they generate traffic, if you can optimize conversions, you'll generate more conversions from the traffic. You'll get more leads from the visitors. You know what I mean? And that's definitely worth taking the time for, because getting more traffic, I mean, and we all talk about in this industry, you know, get more traffic, that's the holy grail. Well, that's true. But once the traffic gets to your site, you also want to be able to capture that and monetize that traffic. And that might be, especially if you're doing it for lead gen, it's going to be a phone call or an opt-in form submission, or to click on an ad, or to click on a banner, or to, you know, whatever, an even AdSense, for God's sakes. Even if it's an AdSense site, if you can convert or optimize that site to get more clicks, you're going to make more revenue. So that's what I would spend my time on with these sites, guys, is just trying to get them to convert better. So, okay, guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up about 15 minutes early, but the questions were good. Michael, again, thank you for your questions today. Seriously, that was good. It gave us some content. I think this was a valuable hangout, and we'll see you guys next week at 7:30 a.m. Thanks for being here.